Well, hello, hello, hello to everybody here. It's Teresa Sanderson, and we are getting together today for the Nurse Entrepreneur Spotlight with our good friend, Nachole Johnson. And Nachole is the CEO of ReNursing Edu. She's the author of more than 30 books, and these titles focus on nurse practitioner education, as well as business. So, Nachole, I want to welcome you to the Nurse Entrepreneur Spotlight today. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Thank you so much for having me, Teresa. I'm super excited.
Yeah, ditto, girl. I love chatting with you. So, tell us a little bit about yourself and what your business is all about so that our viewers can get to know you a little.
Sure. So I am well, actually, it's 2022 now, so it'll be a 21-year nurse, right? I get to add another year on that. So I've been a nurse for 21 years this year, obviously. 2014 is when I started ReNursing Edu, and I was burnt out working in the cardiovascular recovery room. And I just had an idea to start writing a book. I had no earthly idea what I was doing. My very first book, I had to regurgitate all this information and get it out of my head. So I wrote a book, and from that book, my business grew, which at the time I did not have a business. I was just going to publish a book. And it's funny because after I published that book, I said, I'm never writing another book again.
Never say never.
Here it is, 2022, and I have over 30 titles, but yes, so that's how everything started.
Wow. Amazing, amazing. So, with so many different business opportunities out there, there are brick and mortar businesses, there's online businesses, coaching type businesses. And it sounds like, a lot of what you're doing at ReNursing Edu is business coaching for nurses, kind of career consulting with nurses as well to show them different avenues. What led you into this type of business out of all the other choices out there?
So before I wrote the book, it was really funny. Before I wrote the book, I had colleagues constantly coming up to me, asking me about what they could do besides nursing. And I'm like, I'm in the unit next to you. I'm working next to you. Why do you think I know that? But it was a recurring theme. Like all these nurses were coming to me and they're like, Nachole, what do you think I can do? I'm kind of, I'm tired, I'm burned out, whatever. But they would gravitate towards me. And, after knowing them as a colleague and kind of knowing their personality and knowing what they liked, I would just spit out something. Like I had one guy, he was super into fitness and everything else. And it's like, I don't know what I can do. And I was like, you have a kinesiology degree. Just go coach people, be a nurse fitness coach. Like all kinds of stuff. I would just randomly come up with stuff. And so that's kind of where that book came from, because the first book was actually about starting your own business as a nurse.
Love it.
And it gave ideas of just, and here I am starting, writing this book about business. And I'm like, I don't even really have a business. But people are asking me stuff like, I know. So I kind of took it as, I guess these people are approaching me because they see something in me that maybe I just don't see in myself yet. And
love that.
Yeah. And so with that being said, with all these people and all these coworkers coming up and asking me about this, I had enough information that I felt like in my head that I needed to get it out, and I wrote my first book. So that's how that first book came about.
Got it.
And ReNursing Edu actually started out as ReNursing Career Consulting. That was the original name. And I changed the name to ReNursing Edu in, I believe, 2017. But at first it was just, career consulting. But in 2014, even still, I didn't know anything. I'll keep repeating that. So it's, even if you don't know anything, you can start a business by accident. So it wasn't like it is now where you can just get on Google and find everything,
Right.
We had it back then, but there wasn't a ton of information.
Oh, no.
And people looked at you like you were crazy because you were a nurse and you're like, you want to start your own business. And that's actually the book titles, like you're a nurse and you want to start your own business,
Love
the
it.
complete, because I kept getting that question
Yeah.
because people thought I was absolutely crazy. So, but that's how ReNursing Edu and how the first book and everything came about and how I kind of got into this,
Into
coaching,
this space.
consulting space. Yeah.
I love that. And I think like so many good opportunities in our life, they come about without us really knowing how they happened, And so I think kudos to you for having your ear to the ground or your heart, really centered to be listening to that little tap on your shoulder saying, hey,
Yeah.
maybe there's something for you. And I think,
Yeah.
it sounds like you and I talk to a lot of nurses every day, every week, who are looking for something more. And the saddest thing that I see in that group of nurses is that they come to me and to you to ask the question, what do you think I could do? They're feeling that nudge, they're feeling that tap. And the saddest thing to me is to see nothing happen with that.
Yeah.
I always believe in it's best to have tried and failed than to live with the regret of never knowing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just could never do
So
that.
I and I get it. I mean, we went into nursing for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Nurses are very special.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking maybe it's an underlying issue with us putting others' needs before our own. And that's something that we do every day.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that's ingrained in us and
Yeah.
through school and through work and everything else. And when it comes time to making this big decision for yourself, you feel kind of guilty. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, well, what about my patients? Or what about my clinic, my hospital, my unit? What about
my coworkers,
yeah,
even these days? Yeah.
yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, you just have to make the decision for yourself.
Yeah.
And I know people are like, well, I don't want to stop being a nurse, blah, blah, blah. But okay, I still have my license. I still have
Yeah.
my title. I still have my degree.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still a nurse, even though I may not practice as a nurse or a nurse practitioner. I still have my knowledge from that. And I still call myself a nurse practitioner, even though I'm not in the trenches in the clinic or in the hospital or anything else.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still a nurse at heart.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's probably a fear a lot of nurses have. And it's just simply because of our role, basically, of putting everybody else before ourselves.
I hear you. Yeah, I think definitely so. And I think it's very easy to do because nurses are so nurturing and really want to take care of everybody else. And then it comes all the way home to family. And I think we become all wrapped up in that identity too sometimes. And it's hard to escape it for sure. So,
yeah.
Nachole, it sounds like you just have a mass of experience and expertise in your area. So tell me, how has the pandemic affected your business?
Oh my goodness. 2020 was actually fairly good. So I'll back up a little bit. So
okay.
I was furloughed as a nurse practitioner in 2020, but I had thought a couple months before this whole pandemic was even a pandemic, I was like, well, maybe I should, give it a go. And like you said, you want to take an opportunity when you have an opportunity instead of regretting something later on. And so I thought, well, maybe I should just take ReNursing Edu full time and dedicate full time to it and see what happens. And this is a couple months before I got furloughed. And I got furloughed in April, I believe. It was April. And I took it as a sign from God. I'm like, okay, God, I guess this is my moment. Thank you. So let's see, it was a few months earlier than I planned because I was getting out my spreadsheets and planning and, saving and everything else. And I'm like, okay, it's a little bit earlier than I expected, but okay. So 2020 was actually really good in terms of sales.
Okay.
So one of my bestsellers is the NPH&P, and that is a journal that helps nurse practitioner students become better nurse practitioners by detailing and knowing how to write a detailed history and physical.
Love it.
And that took off. There were days that I was selling $1,000 worth of my journal.
Woo.
Yeah, I know. But there's always a but.
Oh,
always a but. So, it was hard keeping in stock. So 2020 was good. And I'm expecting 2020, it continued into 2021. And the crisis that we have on the shipping prices affected my inventory.
Gotcha.
So as of now, I've been out of inventory, been out of stock for about 3 months, but my stuff is coming later on this week. So I'm happy.
Woohoo, yeah.
Happy for that. But yes, so everything started taking off, and would have had my inventory on time. I would have had, that product to sell and everything, but now it's kind of messed everything up. So it's like, well, I don't know when to order more product now because it took 6 months to get this shipment in. So everything is kind of screwy in that manner. So I've got to really figure that out here pretty soon. But yes, the pandemic, it's been good in terms of business. But then again, in 2021, we were still feeling after effects. And then in addition to that, we still had, masses of people leaving for the Great Resignation and things of that nature that were affecting things too. So a lot of things have been slow. So 2021, I had to wait for a lot of stuff. Wait.
A season of waiting, right?
Wait. So I learned, I guess this is a lesson, like God wanted me to be patient because I had to wait for my taxes. I had to wait for these books. The taxes, they took like 12 weeks to come. To get processed.
Oh man.
The books were delayed. Something else. Oh, my apps. Those were my textbook. All this stuff has been delayed. And it's so funny because someone asked me something a couple weeks ago and I'm like, it's all right. I'm just gonna expect to wait. It's okay.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
So I have learned patience over 2021 in business.
I just love that you shared that. And I think, it has been such a crazy time. And as we talk about the pandemic, I'm just going to share a little bit of my own personal reflection of, having had the big C right after Thanksgiving and it lasting through the new year. That is, I think, the second time in my life that I really felt like God was saying, I don't want you to do anything right now. You are not doing anything. And the amazing thing or the crazy thing about that was I had a lot of momentum in my business in the month prior to that happening, immediately prior. And so then I just felt like, well, now what? But it's that time of just trust, be patient, be faithful. The other thing was that I had time to reflect on, where is my business? Where do I want it to go? What do I love about it? What do I not like so much? And all these things started coming to me. And so it was a great time of just kind of refining, refocusing, that kind of thing. But I hear you, sometimes we just got to wait. What can we do? Right?
Yeah.
I can stomp my feet, but it doesn't do any good.
It was crazy, but that's okay. I've learned my lesson, and I talked to God, and I'm like, okay, God, I know you've got something. So you are setting me up for something so much bigger than I can imagine.
Exactly.
And I know that you are going to take care of my daughter and I, and you're not going to put us in a situation that we wouldn't be able to handle. So
exactly. Oh, I just love that.
Trust in you.
Love that. All right. So a couple more questions will be done here, but I just am loving chatting with you today. Now, tell me, a lot of things are different from the time that you were working in the cardiothoracic unit as a nurse practitioner or in any unit as an NP versus working full-time at ReNursing Edu. When you've worked a full day at ReNursing Edu, and maybe it's been a long day and a busy day, What's the difference in how you feel after a long and busy day at ReNursing Edu versus how you felt back in those days working in the hospital setting or any unit setting? How's that for you?
Wow. So I really feel like I've come into my space and come into my own. And I know a lot of people, when the pandemic happened and, they were forced to work from home, a lot of
Mhm.
people just absolutely hated it and got stir crazy. And
Yes.
I will tell you, I'm still fine. I'm still fine. Like I go for my morning walk. I can go to the bathroom when I want to. I can eat. I don't have to worry about constant interruptions. So yes, it's
Mm.
completely different. I'm an
Mhm.
introvert at heart, and so I'm okay with working from home. And I do like the flexibility because I have a small child.
I love that.
So it's not a big deal if she gets sick and she has to be home with me.
Mm.
It's a big deal when you're working in the clinic
Yes.
because, yeah, like even
Mhm.
leaving a couple hours early, I had looks and people were so annoyed with me. And I'm like, hey, I'm a mama first. I don't care. I have to take care of my child. So it's completely different. It's a level of freedom that I don't think anyone could pay me enough to give up. If that
I'm
makes
with
any
you.
sense. I mean, I made really good money as a nurse practitioner in the clinic. But I'm like, no, I have freedom and I have the potential to take the income that I made as a nurse practitioner, double it, triple it, quadruple it. When you are working for someone else, your income
Mhm.
is limited and you are
Mhm.
trading your time for money.
Right.
So I know a lot of RNs, take travel assignments or
Mhm.
whatever, and they say how much money they make. But I'm like, well, how much time do you really have for your family? How much time do you actually have to enjoy the money? How much time do you
Mhm.
actually have to enjoy your life? Or is it that you're working all these hours and everything just so you can have a bigger home or a car or
Mhm.
something else like that, just trying to keep up with everybody else?
Right.
So I love the flexibility and I love the freedom.
I just love, love, love hearing you say that. And so, everybody in this group, you can now say that Teresa didn't say it today. Nachole said it. And
You can
hats
blame
off to
me.
you, girl.
You can
Because,
blame
yeah.
me.
And the other thing is, in those seasons when, like with the holidays just having passed, if you need to work a little more as an entrepreneur, you can work a little more to earn
Yeah.
more money. There's
Yeah.
nobody stopping you. And also, if you have enough, you can take off.
Yeah. You
You
have
know,
that
if
flexibility.
Yeah, if you're sitting pretty and you just decide, hey, my daughter wants to go to the zoo today, I'm going.
Yeah.
That is a
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful thing to be,
Yeah.
a beautiful spot to be in. And that's what the non-nursing community kind of gets as a norm,
I
right?
know. I know. It is so funny that us nurses are so out of touch with, regular people who have office jobs and stuff.
Right. No
And realize
call.
like you guys have been living like this whole time. You don't work 14-hour shifts disguised as 12-hour shifts. I mean,
Right.
I mean, wow. But yeah,
I
yeah.
love that. I love that. Oh my gosh. Well, I want to thank you again for joining us today. It's been such a treat to hear about you and ReNursing EDU. So I want to give you the last 5 minutes or so of our time together, Nachole, so you can share with our viewers how they can find you, how they can learn more about you and your business. So the floor is yours.
Okay. Well, I'm pretty much everywhere, people. I'm Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest. And you can also go to renursing.edu.com. So if you are a nurse looking to go to nurse practitioner school, I have a whole section for you. I have a section for people thinking about nurse practitioner school. I have people who are actually students, people who are practicing nurse practitioners. And I also have another aspect of my business where I focus on the nurses who actually want to start a business.
Love that.
And yeah, there are courses over there on that side. You guys know that I write a lot, so I have writing courses for nurses. I have, I know, imagine that. That's
So it's all at ReNursing Edu.
ReNursing Edu.
.com.
.com.
Perfect.
Yes. And I mean, I'll have more stuff coming out this year. Like I said, I thought it would be last year, but it's okay. So the NP apps are already out on Android and Apple. So that's for the AGNP and the FNP. Those are available. And my textbook will be out this quarter. You know what, Teresa? Formatting a textbook takes forever.
I can only imagine. I don't even want to go there.
Not know what I was in for. I did not know what I signed up for when I'm like, okay, let's just turn this into a textbook. So far I'm up to about 500 pages and we're on the tail end. We've gone back and forth about 5 times, just trying to make everything perfect, but that will be out Q1. That is my goal. So that should be out this year as well. So
awesome.
Yeah, I have a lot of things coming out.
That is just fantastic. I could not be happier for you and where your business has led you over the years. I want to thank you again for spending some time with us today, Nachole, and also just want to wish you a very, all the blessings and abundant success in the year 2022.
Thank you so much, Teresa.
You are so welcome. That is the end of our Nurse Entrepreneur Spotlight for today, everybody. I want to thank you all for tuning in. I will post a link to Nachole's website so you can check out her content there. You can also search her up on Facebook, LinkedIn, any other social media. And remember, if you are interested in being featured as a nurse entrepreneur on the weekly Nurse Entrepreneur Spotlight with me, I'll post a link below the video for that as well. So I look forward to hearing from you and connecting with you. Till next time, stay inspired.